So I've got a little story for you today. I was at a continuing legal education course. This was a little while back. And a continuing legal education is what us lawyers have to do to keep our law license, and other professionals got to do these kind of mandatory courses, which you can imagine I'm there to get credit. I'd like to hear a good story. I'd like to hear a good course. I'd like to learn something, but I'd like to end also on time. So I'm there. I signed up for it because the speaker, kind of a hottie, gotta admit it, I went there so I could, check her out. And the topic was on healthcare law. Didn't much care about that, but it was a mandatory hour that I had to get in, and she was worth looking at. So I signed up. I'm there, and it's really technical. It's really good and informative stuff. But most of all, she violated rule number one. Rule number one. So that's what we're going to get into today, is the 8 big, powerful tips that they don't teach in public speaking schools. They don't teach in school. And we're not talking about grammar school level tips for great public speaking. We're talking about like PhD level stuff today. And I really want to give you those 8 tips that most people don't cover, but I think will really help you produce unbelievably awesome speeches. So let's get into it. In this speech that I'm listening to, she's wrapping up, and look, it's 55 minutes in, 57 minutes in. I'm doing what every good 7th grader does right before that bell rings. I'm starting to fold my book. I'm starting to put my stuff away, and she looks at me. There's only about 20 people in the room. She looks at me and says, "We're almost done. It's only about another 10 minutes of material." And I said, I gotta leave. I gotta go pick up our kid, honey. Our daughter's waiting at school, and whatever, you gotta teach this course. And I got to go pick the kid. Somebody's got to leave. And by the way, it's an hour-long course. So my wife violated rule number 1, end on time. Wrap it up. Because nobody wants to have any speeches go longer than what they planned. And it's fundamentally a great way to have people not come back. So don't violate rule number 1. Number 2, practice the end. Practice the end. I know we're all nervous about a great start, and people will practice the start over and over and over again. And then what happens is the speech just kind of drifts off, it wanders, and it kind of collapses at the end. And there's a lot of research out there about what people remember from your speech. And they remember 2 things. They remember the end and the high point. Now, the high point can vary. It can be in the middle. It can be the beginning. It can be near the end. The high point is some big, powerful statement, some aha moment that they have, right? But they also always remember the end. And all too often, we focus on the beginning because of nerves and we want to start well. But I want you to practice the end. I want you to really give a powerful end. So practice that end. Number 3, and trust me, all these steps are going to kind of start to weave together in a nice flow. But tip number 3 is you've got to have a consistent theme. I remember one time I got real excited. I was going to go see a lawyer that dealt with a death row inmate that got him off right before they found out he was innocent. Like, as a young law student, I found that like super compelling. I wanted to go see a speech on how they determined that this person was innocent. They were using DNA, by the way, and what they had to do to actually not only stop the death row, but get them another trial. I was super motivated, man. That was the theme I thought I was going to get. I showed up to hear this lawyer who was going around giving this speech around the country. And he talked for 45 minutes about something that had nothing to do with why I was there. I was upset. He wasted my time. I didn't learn anything. I mean, the basic gist is he got bored with his speech. He got bored with the topic. But guess what? I didn't come to see you, dude. I came to hear the topic that you were presenting. I talk a lot about focusing on the audience and staying consistent. But he didn't have a theme. He talked about his clothes. He literally was talking about his wardrobe and what he wore on trial and what type of clothes impacted the different juries. I didn't get one. I thought he was a lunatic. He had no idea. He wasn't an expert on like clothes. I didn't go to learn that. I didn't want to become an expert in clothes. I wanted to hear his talk on getting a death row inmate off of death row. And he didn't have a consistent theme. He got bored with his own speech and he wondered. So look, you got to know what you're there to talk about. And I really want you to think about that and what the audience wants. I have more little these crazy videos. And by the way, here's your reminder to subscribe and notify. And if you don't, I hope that it goes haunt you. Okay, so please subscribe. All right, so Jackson's laughing at me right now about these jokes. Jackson, I never know what to say to get him to subscribe, but you're supposed to remind him on these things. But if you have, thank you, all right? So a theme is basically what's the overarching simple storyline of your speech. If it is on death row inmates, talk about that. If it's on providing great customer service, focus on customer service. If it's on how to weave a basket underwater, talk about basket weaving underwater. Don't start chasing rabbits and squirrels. Really try to stay locked into what they came for. That's a really important thing. Now, the next tip is bookending. I want you to have your story about your theme, and I want your end to be about your theme. That way you're booking the speech. That way you're reminding them why you're there, you got a creative story, and you're wrapping up with a summary about what you talked about. All right, I like to summarize at the end. I like to remind people what they learned because people get distracted. Maybe they forgot. And that's a good, powerful, easy end to deliver a powerful speech. So we were talking about the end. And one additional powerful way to book in and make a powerful end is to make an ask. And ask are powerful things. And it can be as simple as, I really want you all to go and consider what we talked about today and maybe share it with a friend. That's an ask. I'd like you to give to a charity that donates to this particular cause. Maybe that's an ask. I don't know what your particular topic is going to be on. I want you to go learn this material. I want you to pass it on to the next generation. That's an ask. There's a sense of implementation that helps people remember your speech, and they're going to remember in a positive light if there's an associated ask. They know what they're supposed to do with the information. So one way that I used to make an ask in my speeches about green stuff, I used to go around and speak at Keep America Beautiful conferences. It was just kind of a fun kind of hobby thing. I really believe in like picking up garbage and trash, and I wouldn't encourage others to do it. And we had an action step of how to get volunteers involved, how do you keep volunteers engaged? And that's really what my theme of my speech was, keeping volunteers engaged long-term in keeping things beautiful. And the ask at the end was really simple. I want you to ask somebody to come with you. That's it. Nice and simple. That's an easy action item. You'll get more people involved. And it was a small ask. I don't want you to ask 50 people. I don't want you to ask 30 people. I don't want you to ask somebody every day. The next time you have an event where you're cleaning something up, ask one person to attend. And I think you'll see a world of difference in your performance out there because you're getting more and more people involved slowly over time. And that was my ask, man. It was simple. It was easy. And then people would do it because I asked them to. Not because I asked them, but because anybody asked them. So you want to make an ask at the end, and that's a great way to kind of wrap it up. Number 5, Jackson says I'm on number 5, and don't sweat ums and ahs. So look, I've gone through public speaking courses myself. I've given a lot of public speakers training, and all these books and manuals that tell you to stop with the ums and the ahs. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And the more you're focused on that, the less you're focused on the audience, the more you're going to get nervous and come off theme and not bookend it, not make these fundamental things. It doesn't matter. Some of the best speakers have a tons of ums and ahs in their speeches. If you go back and look at somebody that has provided a powerful speech, you go back and really listen for ums and ahs, you're going to hear them. It is really funny. And you didn't notice because the theme, the message in the ask was so powerful, it didn't matter. Now look, I'd love you to get rid of these ticks. Now that's what we kind of call them in the industry, right? Little ticks. I'd love for you to get rid of them. You're going to get rid of them. It's going to happen. I don't want you to sweat them. I don't want you to worry about them. Don't spend all your time getting rid of that and not dealing with the fundamentals of providing a good speech, which is focus on the audience. It just is not that big of a deal. Notice I just did one. I just gave you an right? If you're getting the message across to you, those little ticks will wash out. Now, I'm not talking about big things like scratching your head and ears. You got to work on that kind of stuff. But sometimes people that are like in the industry as coaches never really give great public speeches. They just look at a manual and think, I got to get rid of the ticks. And by the way, I used to do that too. I had a whole section on body language and getting rid of ums and ahs and pauses and all this stuff. And the more great speakers I saw, the less I realized it matters. So give yourself a break, man. Don't focus on that. Focus on delivering a powerful message. The rest will take care of itself. Remember, if you kind of follow these fundamentals, plus all those practice sessions and all the fundamental steps that people will give you, if you follow these PhD level tips, you're going to deliver a great speech, have fun with it, and crush it. Anxiety, stress will go away. People will invite you back. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.